My name is Garrett Engle. I play men's golf at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. So I was lucky enough they changed the recruitment rules actually my sophomore year, which made things really hard because I had this stretch before I was a sophomore where I could talk to coaches. And I was lucky enough to have a lot of contact with coaches, and coaches were contacting me. And I was able to talk to a lot of colleges before the cutoff started. But then suddenly they changed the rules, and I wasn't able to talk to any coaches at all my sophomore year. So that kind of threw me for a loop, and I wasn't really sure where I was at with any of the colleges. That was the biggest difficulty, and then I had to basically restart my whole recruitment as a junior. So I got a lot of things thrown at me really fast. So that was the hardest part for me. Is I had all these schools that I had talked to before, and then I suddenly didn't know where they stood at all, and I come back my junior year, and I didn't know what offers I would have or anything like that. And it ended up working out well. I had plenty of offers and plenty of places to go, and schools still interested. But it's just hard to stay calm, not knowing. And I think that's something that someone who's a little bit of a late bloomer and doesn't really have any contact with coaches until they're a senior kind of goes through the same thing. But it's important to just focus on your actual golf or your sport, whatever that is, and then end up they'll come to you. It's they'll end up you'll get exposure if you're doing the right things on your athletics. But like a lot of people, when they're emailing coaches or like giving a resume to a coach, they only put their good things on the resume. And one thing that I did to stand out is I put all my bad tournaments on my resume. I put a lot of bad stuff on my resume because I think it's very important to be transparent. And like that's something I was looking for in coaches. Like I wanted my coaches to be transparent and to be completely honest with me. And if you're able to give that to them, they're able to give that to you back. And they understand that like if you're willing to put those things in, you're not trying to sugarcoat anything. Like they know what they're getting. And I think that's very important. I think that's something that helped me kind of stand apart from any other recruits or anybody like that, is they were able to see the full picture without having to go digging for it. Yeah, most of it isn't really on a golf end. It's more with the mental aspect of golf. I mean, there's obviously a big physical aspect, but most of it at the point that I'm at and during my end of high school career and when I'm in my recruitment, I was kind of just more focused on the mental aspect of golf. So I had a lot of people kind of give me advice on how to deal with, bad shots, bad breaks, good breaks, how to deal with nerves and tournaments and all that kind of stuff. So that was the stuff that stuck with me more so, specifically just how to rebound from a bad shot or a bad hole and like not dwelling on the past. And that's been the biggest thing for me. I think something that's very important is, I think the most important thing is the coach. Every coach has a little bit different philosophy, a different way they do qualifying, a different way they do practice, a different way they do workouts, how hands-on they are, or kind of let you do your own thing. And I think that's super important to know what style of coach you're looking for. And to me, that's the most important thing. I mean, that was what I was looking for both times. Both in my first recruitment stage, then after the dead period, that second recruitment stage, and then I was in the transfer portal too. Like that's pretty much my main focus the entire time, was just finding a coach that kind of related with me and the way I practice and the way I play. I think that's the most important thing. And the other thing too is to not be afraid to drop to a school that maybe is viewed as like a lower level or not ranked as high. Like I think that's something that's super important, because golf, at the end of the day, you don't need to be the number one program in the country to play professional golf or to get to the next stage of your career, whatever that is. Like you can go to a lower level, mid-major, or D2 school for that matter. Like there's plenty of professional golfers that have come from community college, JUCOs, D3, D2, like all throughout. It's not just you go to the best top 10 schools in the country or you're done. And I think that's something really important. If you like a coach at a smaller school, but you're like, I don't know if I want to go there because we're not gonna be able to compete. Like if they're a good coach and they match what you're looking for, it's gonna end up working out great for you, and you'll probably end up having a good team too. I think one of the things I did that a lot of people didn't do is I was working out and get my body right really early. I started working out and get my, doing training in that way, starting when I was 12 years old. And a lot of people waited until a little bit longer. And that's kind of starting to become more of a thing where people start training physically for golf a little bit earlier, doing strength training, mobility training, and that stuff. But that's something I started early, and it's kind of helped keep my injuries low, and it's just helped overall gaining strength and being able to hit more shots I wasn't able to do. And then in terms of, practice and getting ready in that sense, I like to play on the golf course a lot more than just go out in the range and hit balls. And I think it's really important to go out and figure out how to hit certain shots. And you can't really replicate that in the range. That's another thing I do that I think is very helpful, and part of why one of the strengths of my game is being able to recover so well from hitting a bad shot and hitting in trouble, because I've seen those situations so many times. I think the main thing is it kind of goes back into the mental aspect. I wish I would have developed a little bit more with the mental aspect of my golf game a little bit earlier. I think it's something that I've always done really well, but it's something that I wish I focused on a little bit more. I think it's the most important part of golf. I mean, everyone has the ability to play a good round of golf, but you see a ton of people go out, they make a bogey, they flip out, they lose their mind, they get nervous, they start thinking ahead and thinking backwards. I mean, you think ahead, oh, I got an easy hole coming up, now I got to birdie it. It just makes everything more pressured. And I think being able to go out and relax and just stay in the moment is the biggest thing that I wish I would have done better at earlier. It's very important to think about your course management and to not make any unforced errors or stupid decisions because you're mad, or just stupid decisions in general because you're kind of trying to push for something. It's important to get a game plan in your practice rounds and in your preparation, and then once you step foot in the golf course, you got to stick to it and make the right decisions in the moment, because that's something they look for a lot, not missing in the wrong spots, because when you get to college golf, it's a lot harder. The pins are a lot harder. The conditions are a lot harder. So they're going to pick a guy who has good course management and a little bit less ability over someone who has more ability and is making stupid decisions pretty much every round.